Claire Whitman pulled into the driveway of her new home with a sigh of relief. Elmridge Lane seemed serene. Freshly mowed lawns, chirping birds, and polite waves from neighbors. But behind the white picket fences, something felt too perfect. A clipboard-toting man, Harold Pritchard, approached. "Welcome. I'm the HOA president. We're a tight-knit community here." Claire smiled politely, noticing the surveillance camera on the streetlight. Tight-knit had a different ring to it here. Inside, her gut churned. She was escaping city chaos, not walking into a new kind. But something about Harold's smile didn't sit right. Too wide, too forced. Claire skimmed the HOA handbook left on her porch. No solar panels, no loud wind times, lawn inspection every Sunday. It read more like a manifesto than neighborhood guidelines. Her neighbor Becca appeared holding a pie. "Careful, they notice everything here, even paint shade changes." Claire raised a brow. "That extreme." Becca nodded. One guy got fined for planting tomatoes. Claire laughed uneasily. "Tomatoes?" Becca just smiled and walked away, whispering, "Don't say that too loud." That night, Claire stared at the moon through her window and the blinking red light on the lamppost camera. 3 days later, Claire found a bright orange slip on her door. Violation, mailbox paint chipped. $75 fine. Her jaw tightened. It had been chipped when she moved in. She marched to Harold's office in the HOA clubhouse. "This is ridiculous." He leaned back, smirking. Maintaining property value is serious business. Claire narrowed her eyes. Or maybe it's about power. Harold stood, voice cold. "We all follow rules here, even new residents." On her way out, she saw a bulletin board. Pictures of every house, each with marks and notes. Were they being profiled? Claire joined Becca in her garden. "You said someone was fined for tomatoes." Becca nodded. "It was Mr. Klein. He's harmless, but the HOA called it unauthorized agriculture. They almost evicted him." Claire furrowed her brow. "That's insane." Becca leaned in, whispering, "They monitor us. My Ring camera was disabled once. I think they hacked it." Claire exhaled slowly. "So what's the plan?" Becca dug in the dirt and handed her a flash drive. "HOA meetings. I've been recording. Hidden MIC in the garden gnome." Claire's hands trembled. This is bigger than I thought." Claire visited Mr. Klein. He opened the door slowly. "They are watching," he whispered. His home was cluttered with old newspapers and maps of the neighborhood. Before Harold, there were others, but he took it further: blackmail, intimidation, even disappearances. Claire's eyes widened. Disappearances. He nodded. Old HOA treasurer went on vacation. Never came back. Becca's dog? Poisoned. He handed her a manila envelope. Inside were photos, Harold meeting with police officers, cash exchanges. They had the sheriff in their pocket, Klein rasped. And they don't like whistleblowers. Claire felt her world shrink. Elmridge Lane wasn't a community. It was a kingdom. Claire loaded the flash drive into her laptop. The recordings were chilling. Harold barking orders. Slash their tires if they talk. We'll pin it on teens. Another voice replied, already handled the Andersons. Next. Claire's stomach turned. She copied the files to a secure cloud. That night, she heard footsteps outside. Peeking through the blinds, she spotted two men in HOA polos near her backyard. One of them jiggled her gate. She clicked record on her phone. They left moments later, but a note was taped to her back door. Keep digging, and you'll be next. Her hand shook. Claire called an old contact, Detective Ray Morano, a former internal affairs officer. He was no stranger to corruption. They met in a downtown coffee shop. Suburban HOA muscle? That's new, he muttered, reviewing the flash drive. But this isn't just fines. This is racketeering. Claire leaned in. They own the sheriff. The HOA president's a dictator. Morano nodded grimly. I'll run background checks. But be careful. If they smell an investigation, they'll vanish. Claire handed him a burner phone. Stay off grid. As he left, He said, "You just kicked a hornet's nest. Claire, make sure you're ready to get stung." Claire returned to the HOA clubhouse late at night, picking the back lock. Inside, she moved quietly past glass trophies and fake awards. She found a narrow door labeled Archives. Inside, boxes of files, footage reels, and blackmail folders. One caught her eye, marked Lane residence. She opened it to find photos of Becca, her family, tax returns, therapy notes. A small file on Claire had already begun, newspaper clippings from her reporting days, even her city lease. Suddenly, headlights lit the wall. Someone was pulling into the driveway. She snatched her phone, grabbed 2 files, and slipped out the window. The next morning, Claire's trash was overturned, mailbox smashed, a new fine on her door, unapproved late-night clubhouse entry. She was being watched closely. Becca looked shaken. "They've been circling my house. You need to go to the press." Claire shook her head. "Not yet. I want a full confession, with Morano's help." Just then, Mr. Klein called. "They know you were in the clubhouse." Claire pressed record. "What else?" Klein whispered, "They are planning a removal vote. You'll be labeled unstable and forced out." Her heart pounded. Harold wasn't just protecting power. He was erasing threats. Detective Morano called. "Got something. Harold isn't Harold." Claire blinked. "What?" "Real name's Gerald Henley. Changed it after a fraud case in Iowa. He vanished just before sentencing, resurfaced here with a new ID." Claire cursed under her breath. "And the police?" "Sheriff Carter? His campaign donations trace back to shell companies run by Harold." Claire smiled coldly. "We have enough." Morano replied, "Only if we get a confession. Public. Undeniable." Claire's mind raced. "Then I need to bait him. He loves control. Let's see what happens when he starts losing it." Claire invited Harold for tea on her porch. He arrived, smug and curious. Decided to comply? Claire smiled sweetly. "Actually, I'm thinking of running for HOA board." His eyes twitched. "Oh, community engagement," she replied. "Isn't that what you want?" He sipped. "Just know, we don't tolerate troublemakers." Claire leaned in. "You'd be surprised what I tolerate." She watched his jaw tighten. A small MIC was taped beneath the table. Hidden cameras rolled from Becca's windows. When Harold left, Claire whispered, "Let's make him sweat." The trap was set. All that remained was pressure and patience. Claire began walking the neighborhood, talking to residents. Quiet people like the Browns and shy Mr. Vallès opened up. "We've all been bullied," one said, but no one stood up. Claire replied, "Now's your chance." Meanwhile, Morano sent anonymous letters to board members with fragments from the flash drive. Rumors swirled. Fissures formed. Harold appeared more agitated at public events. When Becca was fined for flower overgrowth, residents booed. Harold snapped, "Rules are rules." Someone shouted, "All tools of control." His face turned red. The illusion of order was fracturing, and Claire kept pushing. Claire arrived early to the monthly HOA meeting, dressed sharply, hair pinned back. The room filled quickly, more residents than ever. Harold walked in, visibly tense. "Let's begin." Claire stood. I motioned to vote on new leadership. Gasps. Harold scoffed. "You're not even qualified." Claire smiled. "I have enough signatures." Becca projected footage onto the screen, Harold issuing threats, calling fines weapons. Murmurs became outrage. He stammered, then shouted, "You think you can take this from me? I built this street." Police entered. Morano followed. "Actually, Mr. Henley, we're here to take you in." The room exploded in disbelief. Harold's face turned ghost white. "You have no proof." Morano pulled out a warrant. "We have plenty. Fraud, coercion, bribery." Harold was cuffed as cameras clicked. One by one, residents stood in stunned silence. Claire glanced around. "This is just a start." Becca hugged her. Mr. Klein stood in the back, smiling faintly. "Told you, kings fall hardest." As Harold was led away, he shouted, "You'll regret this." Claire whispered, "Not today." That night, the blinking red light above her driveway finally went dark. But Claire knew surveillance wasn't the only thing that lingered in shadows. Claire sat on her porch. A breeze stirred the wind chime she finally installed. The board held a new election. Becca was voted secretary. Mr. Klein was offered resident historian. Claire declined a position. Her mission was done. For now. The new board removed most fines, restored resident autonomy, and ordered cameras removed. Still, neighbors were cautious. Healing was slow. Morano visited. "Not bad for your first takedown since retirement." Claire laughed. Retirement was boring anyway. The past haunted Elmridge Lane, but for the first time in years, laughter echoed between the fences. Truth had roots, and they were growing. A week after Harold's arrest, a journalist named Dana Fry from the Suburban Sentinel arrived. Young, sharp, and eager, she interviewed Claire. "People think this stuff only happens in cities," Dana said. Claire nodded. "Control wears different masks." Dana asked about the files Claire found. There were more, Claire admitted. Names, photos, bank accounts. Some I couldn't decrypt. Dana's eyes gleamed. "Mind if I dig?" Claire handed over copies. "Just be careful." Harold wasn't working alone. As Dana drove off, Claire watched her go, a familiar unease in her chest. Truth had opened the door, but more shadows waited inside. Dana called Claire late one evening. The files linked to a firm in Virginia, Cedar Watch LLC. It funds neighborhood associations nationwide. Claire sat upright. "You're saying this isn't isolated?" Dana replied, "It's a pattern. Dozens of communities. Same tactics. Same shell donors." Claire exhaled. Harold was a puppet. Dana said, "He wasn't the only one." A long silence passed. Claire finally asked, "What do we do?" Dana replied, "Expose the web, piece by piece." Claire looked outside at her quiet street. Elmridge Lane was healing, but the system that enabled the horror, it was still alive. And Claire wasn't done fighting. While helping Becca reorganize the HOA files, Claire found an unlabeled USB drive tape beneath a drawer. Curious, she plugged it in. Encrypted folders. Morano decrypted one. Video footage. Harold speaking to an unseen figure. "I've done my part. Elmridge is locked down." A distorted voice replied, "Good. Next, Willow Creek." Another folder labeled incentives listed names, payouts, and political favors. Claire felt her stomach twist. They were expanding. Morano looked grim. "We've uncovered a network." Claire stayed at the screen. The fall of one HOA tyrant had only scratched the surface. The real enemy was still watching. And moving. Mr. Klein showed Claire a box of letters, old correspondence between former HOA board members. One letter stood out, a resignation from a woman named Lydia Kent. "They threatened my son. I can't do this anymore." Claire asked, "Where is she now?" Klein replied, "Vanished in 2014. No forwarding address." Claire scanned the letter's return address, Willow Creek. Same community Harold mentioned. She called Dana. "We need to find her." Dana replied, "I'm on it." Claire looked at Klein. "This goes back further than we thought." Klein sighed. Elmridge was just a testing ground. The real war was just beginning. Claire stood before a town hall filled with residents from neighboring suburbs. Microphone in hand, she spoke, "This isn't just about HOA overreach. This is about fear being used as governance." Applause. She continued, "We stopped it here, but many of you are still trapped." Dana had published her expose. It went viral. Investigations were starting. Claire stepped down from her porch activism and announced the launch of Neighborhood Watchdog, a non-profit to protect homeowners nationwide. Becca smiled from the crowd. Klein clapped softly. Claire had fought her street's demons. Now, she was ready to battle the nations. Late at night, Claire walked Elmridge Lane under a silver moon. No more cameras. No more notes. Just the sound of wind and peace. Becca joined her with 2 cups of tea. "So, super hero, she teased. Claire chuckled. Just a journalist with a shovel. They clinked mugs. Think we'll ever truly be safe? Becca asked. Claire looked ahead. Maybe not everywhere. But hey, we earned it. Her phone buzzed. A message from Dana. Found Lydia. She's ready to talk. Claire stood, spine straight. The calm never lasted, but that was okay. Some people ran from darkness. Claire, she chased it down.